Well, hey friends, I've got Pinocchio leaving me. Pinocchio, come here, I will cuddle you. All right, bye, see you later. Look at that tush. Anyway, hey friends. So, let's chat. This is episode 2 of what I lovingly called last time, Ask Jess. So this is where I take any scenarios you may be living through right now, things you maybe want advice, or even just an outsider's perspective on. And it's all anonymous. You guys send it to me on Amazon. What? On Instagram. It doesn't even make any sense. And so I kind of combed through. I won't share any names or pictures or anything, but we're just going to chat about these. I think one of the things I really liked about this video last time, and if you missed episode 1, I'll link it below, was that so many of you guys kind of shared your 2 cents and your experience with some of these same scenarios in the comments. And I think that ended up being really kind of helpful for anyone maybe going through something similar. And a lot of the topics we're going to be touching on, some of them are definitely sensitive topics, a little bit touchy. But I also think a lot of these topics are very, very common and or widespread. So I hope this is either helpful or encouraging or comforting, or maybe you're just hanging out with us today and that's cool too. So cheers. I've got day-old iced coffee that I put in the fridge because I didn't finish it. And we're on the last dregs of it. Anyway, so one of you guys asked, I'm trying to be friends with a recent ex, but I know I just need time to focus on myself. This one really stood out to me because I think my first question for you is, why do you feel like you need to remain friends with your ex? And that doesn't mean that you need to be nasty or mean to the ex just because you've ended things. But I guess my question is, when you say you want to remain friends, are you like chatting with them all of the time? Are you hanging out with them? You know, obviously scenarios can be very different. Like if you had a kid with someone that's your ex, well, that's different because, you know what I mean? You have that connection forever with that person. But if you're just remaining friends with them because you feel like you should or it's the right thing to do, I think it's okay if you really feel that pull to be focusing on yourself and kind of healing yourself, taking time for yourself, whatever that means to you. I don't think you should feel pressure to stay friends with this person if it is affecting you in that way, because then at a certain point it's like, are you even broken up? You know what I mean? If they're still affecting your life in that way where you feel like remaining friends with that person means that you can't focus on yourself, there is still an issue there. And so maybe telling the person like, I want to remain cordial and friendly with you, I just need some time away. And you've already broken up, right? It sounds like it's an ex, so hopefully that person can understand that for maybe you need 3 months away and then just kind of revisit. I don't know. But yeah, I guess I just have some follow-up questions for you about that. But I think at the end of the day, just really thinking about why is it that you feel the need to remain friends with them, and or if it's still creating that pressure that you can't even focus on yourself, then maybe you really shouldn't remain in contact. And again, that doesn't mean it has to be this nasty, drawn out thing. You know, there is a way to part amicably, part ways. You know what I mean? Give each other space. Thank you to today's video sponsor, which is Shameless Snacks. So if you're like me and you love sweet or sour gummy candy, but you don't love all of the sugar, you will love Shameless Snacks. This is their new variety pack that's available exclusively on Amazon. And I love that there are only 3 grams of sugar per bag. There's only 70 calories in each bag, and there are 26 grams of fiber. Plus they are keto and vegan friendly. There's 0 fat and they're made with all natural ingredients. So we're gonna test a bunch of these newer flavors today. Oh my gosh. Let's start with the sour one. Let's do sour mango madness. Yum. So good. I mean, so good, you guys. Let's do So Cool Cola next. Oh, it looks like a little cola bottle. Oh my gosh, that tastes exactly like Coke. How'd they do it? Oh my gosh. I'll tell you my favorite at the end too. Let's do sour pineapple punch. Pineapple lovers will love that. Ooh, Wonderlicious Whales. Oh yeah. Let's try Orange Blossom Bliss next. Oh yeah. That one tastes classic. Okay, last up, Strawberry Sour Splash. Oh, that one's my favorite for sure. These are all so good. Okay, I just brought Tyler down because I wanted him to try. I want you to try my couple favorite.
All right, I want to try 3 of each.
Okay. Oh, 3 of each.
Yeah, and by that I mean 400 of each. Okay.
That one's the Strawberry Sour Splash.
Oh my gosh.
Now, what if I told you?
That
So
is
yeah,
so
I'd already
good.
told him about these. 3 grams of sugar. I know.
That is
Now,
so good.
this one blew my mind the most. This is the cola. These I'm really excited to see you try. Don't they? That was ridiculous.
That was great.
It tastes like a real can of Coke. How did they do it?
That's amazing.
I know.
That's really
Anyway,
good. Okay.
Do you want to try one more? Do you want to try a non-sour? Oh, that's
do
my
pineapple.
other. You love pineapple. I'm like chewing with you over here. I'm like. Aren't they so good? I know. No.
All right. See you later.
You just spilled it back. So Shameless Snacks is actually the #1 best-selling low-sugar gummies on Amazon for good reason, you guys. They are so tasty. They truly taste exactly like you want them to taste, but they are so much lower sugar, lower calories. So I definitely recommend trying their variety pack. I really love this Candy Carnival collection. I will have it linked below. It is available on Amazon. And don't forget to leave a review once you've tried them. Leave a comment below if you have tried these. Let me know which one was your favorite. I really think my favorite was the Strawberry Sour Splash, but I have to say, there's not a bad one in the bunch. I'm partial to the sour ones. The Sour Mango Madness was also really good. And the cola ones completely blew my mind. Like, I want another one of those. How do the cola ones taste just like Coke? It's crazy. I will have the link to shop Shameless Snacks down in the description box for you and in a pinned comment. So thank you so much to Shameless Snacks for sponsoring this video. So another of you asked, our family disagrees with decisions that my husband and I have made for our children. This one gets me to my core. We're lucky to have a very supportive family on both sides. And we really are very blessed in that way. But there are definitely things that we have decided for our family that does differ from what some family believes or the way they live or whatever it is. I think at a certain point, I hope that you hit a point. Let me say it this way, because it was only recent for me that I hit this point, but I hope that you hit a point where you realize that you are a fully grown adult that is allowed to make decisions for you and your family the same way that your parents or your family members were able to make those decisions when they were the ones in charge of the family. And, you're an adult. You may love your mom or your dad or your stepmom, whatever, but they're no longer in charge of you. And when you really realize that, it does kind of feel like some shackles are taken off and you start to feel way more in control of your life and the decisions you make. And you feel a lot more empowered and kind of emboldened in those decisions that you make. And it's not to say that you can't make a decision and then change your mind, but you get to be the one that makes those decisions, and people can think whatever they think. Another powerful thought I think about a lot is I am not in control of what other people think, period. And in fact, what they think actually doesn't really affect me. Now, it might affect me, but it doesn't really affect me. And so I don't know. I really think that realizing you're a full-fledged adult, that for me was very empowering. And I hope it is for you too, whether it's hitting you now or it hits you in a year or two. And maybe it just comes with getting a little bit older, like I'm now in my mid-30s, and feeling like, okay, like at a certain point, I'm not a little high school kid being told what to do, or I'm not, you know what I mean? I get to decide. It's my life, not someone else's. One of you asked, I'm an adult woman. A therapist wants to test me for ADHD. Should I? I'm scared of results. My question is, what do you want the result to be? And I don't mean that yes, you have ADHD or no, you don't. I mean, what outcome are you searching for? If you're experiencing certain things in life and you're feeling like you want answers and your therapist thinks that may be part of the puzzle, then why not? Because at the end of the day, if you find out you do have ADHD, it's your decision from then on what you want to do with that information. No one else can force you to do one thing or another. And sometimes knowledge is power. Now, sometimes knowledge is not power. You know what I mean? And maybe you don't want to know for one reason or another, and you don't feel that whatever it is that you've exhibited to your therapist that makes her want to test you for it, maybe you don't see those as things that bother you, and so you don't really care if you have it or not, then that's totally your prerogative and you don't have to. And if you feel like your therapist keeps pushing you towards that and you really don't want to, then find a new therapist, because, yes, your therapist should, nudge you maybe in certain directions, but as a general rule, like, you should feel comfortable and confident around the one person that you're sharing so much of your soul with. You know what I mean? Okay, tips on how to slow down life. I have the answer for you. I heard this once. It has rung true over and over again. The more new experiences you have in life, the slower life seems to go by. You know, if you have a Saturday and Sunday, or no, the best example of this is, okay, let's say you work 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. Most of your days look the same. You start on Monday and you're getting through each day and suddenly it's Friday. And weeks go by, years go by like this, and you're like, gosh, it feels like time is flying by. Oftentimes it's because you are literally on autopilot. And time does seem to go by quicker when you're doing the same thing. Whereas if you are breaking that up with, you know, taking the kids to a random movie on a Thursday night, or taking a pottery class you've always wanted to take on Sundays, all of a sudden it's as if time slows down. Your brain is forced to get out of that autopilot and use itself in a new way and experience things in a new way and learn things and adapt to things. I think part of why Tyler and I love to travel so much is because it does, and like we love Disney and we love going back to Disney, but I mean travel outside of Disney, especially because it does force you out of your comfort zone, especially if you're going to another country. It does force your brain to adapt and react, and it does feel like time slows down. That's why you can't remember what you ate last Wednesday, but you can remember a lot of the food you ate on that one magical trip you took 7 years ago. There's a reason for that. Now, I don't know all the science behind it, but it is such an interesting topic. But even, like I said, you know, a lot of the times switching things up in your life doesn't have to cost money. It can be like pack a little picnic lunch on a Thursday, and the second the kids get home off the school bus, you guys hop in the car, drive to a park, and have a little mini picnic or a little charcuterie thing or whatever. Hop in the car and go get ice cream, because you never do that, and it just would totally break up. Plus the kids would love. Anyway, that's my tip. I want to be better about following my own advice often. You know, I'm sitting up here on my pulpit, but I need to hear this too. I can say it all I want, but another question was 4-year-olds in the summer. Do we enroll them in summer classes and activities or let them take a break? Funny you should ask, because this has also been on my mind a lot. We're entering summertime, and you know, I've got neighbors and friends with kids similar ages, and we're all talking about that, like, oh, so-and-so's doing this camp, so-and-so's. So we had actually signed Genevieve up for one camp. We can't do it based on travel, but anyway. So we've talked a lot about this, and I think there's just so many scenarios. Like if you are a parent that's staying home in the summer, then you're able to be there with the kids. But I think a lot of people will do camps and all this stuff because they still have to work. And I don't think I really realized that, because for a while I was also teaching. So even I didn't have kids then, but in my mind, I'd be like, oh yeah, and if we had kids in the summers, I'd be home with them, and then I'd go back to work when they go back to school, like that kind of vibe. But people with year-round jobs, like most non-teachers, I feel like, you know, you're either finding childcare for 2.5 months or 2 months, or you're putting them in camps so that you can still work. Even people that work from home, you still need time to actually work. Anyway, so I think that's a big piece of it, is that's probably where a lot of these camp type things started back in the day. But now it has almost turned into, this is my own personal feelings, it's almost turned into this like, well, are your kids doing all of these exclusive camps? Mine's doing this one and this one and this STEAM camp and this adventure camp and this one that's a music, and then Vacation Bible School, which I didn't realize like Vacation Bible Schools were like free. I had no idea. I just heard, I'm like, wait, what? Like, oh, no wonder everyone's always going to vacation. That's incredible. Anyway, yeah, that was news to me. I never went to it growing up. I'm like, man, I don't know if my mom knew. Anyway, so my take is I'm still new to this summertime, you know, outside of school, because we just have a kindergartner. She's just finishing up the school year. So I'll be curious as she gets older, because there's definitely value in doing some camps, but I think I will lean towards more open time than not. We always travel, like at least once in the summer. So there's always going to be that bit. But then having just slow time at home, especially when the weather's nice and you can be outside, is some of the most valuable time for a kid to just explore and play, especially when they're younger. I did end up finishing that book I told you guys about, The Anxious Generation. It was really, really interesting. I eventually heard from some of you guys online that some people think maybe the data is not quite correct, whatever. But I always say the baseline information, though, is very, very intriguing and interesting, regardless of like exact data points and blah, blah, blah. So, but he did talk about play and how so many kids today, because of course, we all know digital screens, etc., they're just not outside playing as often, and just having free play, like non-structured, even if the screens are all off, not always having an adult plan these activities for them to do or this craft, but letting them just have that free exploration play. That is where their creativity has to kick into gear, and where they get to practice being creative and figuring out and problem solving and all of that. So that is one thing that's been top of mind because of reading this book. But I think I would always just, for me, balance it to where like maybe they might have a week or two of some kind of camp, but then generally just have some free summer fun time. We are going to have help this summer. My sweet niece will be home from college. And so I was like, hey, do you want a little summer job? She'll be with the kids for many of the weeks this summer for a couple days, so that we can still work throughout the summer and provide videos for you guys, etc., and do our podcast, of course, too. So that is nice. But again, they're still getting to be home and playing in the backyard and things like that, going to the park. So I don't know, what is your guys' take on summer camps for kids? Like, do you like to pack the schedule all summer long? Are you doing that out of necessity, like because you're working, or you just want to do it because I don't know. I'm just kind of curious your guys' thoughts. Because like I said, so many of the camps are incredible. It's not that the kids are not enjoying it. They're learning. Like, there's so much amazing stuff happening there too. And they're also getting that social aspect of it too. Okay, this one was a really interesting topic, and I have a feeling you guys will have some thoughts too. So, do I spend $1,000 a month to put my 7th grader in a better school, or try and tough it out in public school? The school systems in my state have gotten awful, but I'm nervous about the money. Plus, he's upset about leaving his friends, so I hate to move him, but a 25-to-1 class ratio is crazy. I have worked in a couple school districts, and the ratio of 25-to-1 is pretty typical. Like, I was teaching 30 one or two of the years. So I don't think 25-to-1 is, I mean, would it be ideal to only have like 20? Yeah, of course. But I think that's pretty typical in many schools. Like I said, is it like perfectly ideal? Maybe not, but I don't think that would be the reason. I have a strong suspicion that, you talking about the school district specifically that you're in, there's probably other things other than the teacher ratio that you're referencing. That is such a tough decision. So I just think this is such a personal decision. There's kind of the part of me that's like, he's in 7th grade. He probably only has one more year until high school. And when you're switching to high school, that could maybe be the time you decide, do I want to have him go to this school district's high school? But that's kind of a natural break that if you were to switch to a totally different school, I feel like the high school break would be maybe the easier transition when it comes to like him not wanting to leave his friends. And I think at the end of the day, how is your kid faring? Is your kid happy? Does he have a good little friend group that are a decent example on him? Because sometimes I truly believe that kids being faced with some behaviors that you don't agree with, that is an amazing way, to a certain extent, that is an amazing way for them to learn how to deal with that at a time when they need to learn that. Because trying to learn that when you're in your late 20s and 30s is a lot harder. But they're at an age where they're ready to learn how to deal with social situations and ready to make those kinds of decisions. So I don't know. I mean, I wish I had like a perfect answer for you, but just think about, how he himself is doing. Is it just that you don't like what you're hearing about certain things, but your kid is thriving and doing fine? And then maybe you just leave it, because at the end of the day, schooling is for your kid to learn and grow into a well-functioning adult. And if you feel like he is still growing and learning and he's happy, then his trajectory is still fine. So, I feel like the school district I grew up going into was probably not, looking back, a great one. But I loved school, and I loved my little group of friends, and I loved my teachers, and I loved my classes. And so I'm sure the stories that were being told about the school I went to was crazy, but I was happy, and I'd found my little group, and I'd found what I was into. And if my parents tried to pull me out of that, I would have been devastated, because I had built kind of my little community and what I like to do. And so, I think that is maybe the more important piece of it. I know that's easier said than done, but that's my 2 cents. What do you guys think about that? And I know this can open a whole debate about public versus private school, and that's not really the debate I feel like that needs to happen here, because that is such a personal decision, whether you can afford that or not, whether you want to or not, your own personal experience with personal or private or parochial schools. There's a lot there. So if you are commenting below, please keep it civil. Okay. This is all just discussion. Just, people can get heated about that, I have learned. All right, let me check one more time. There was so many. This was an overwhelming response today. So I want to kind of go through and see if there's any more that kind of stand out to me. Some of your guys are just funny. Oh, one of you guys said, does your evening routine look different now that you're waking up early to work out? I guess this isn't really an advice thing, but yeah, just to quickly answer that question. Our schedule's totally changed because school's almost over. By the time you're seeing this video, it probably is. So any schedule we've had through the school year is out the window at this point. But I was waking up early, but then now we've got our toddler. She's in the big girl bed now, so she gets out of the bed earlier. So now my early morning workouts are no longer. I mean, I'm still working out each day, but it's more like once we're all up and the older kids on the school bus, then so that Tyler, you know what I mean? So it's still in the morning, but it's not quite what it was. But nonetheless, it did force us to get in the habit of going to bed earlier. And I have to say, it has been amazing because you don't realize when you're waking up at, let's say, 6 a.m. or 6:30 a.m., how little sleep you really are getting. When you're finally getting up to bed at 11 p.m., and by the time you're actually falling asleep, it's 11:30, 11:45, maybe midnight, you're only getting like 6 hours of sleep, and it's just not enough. So us kind of forcing ourselves to be like, okay, it's like 8:30, 8:45, let's set coffee for the morning, straighten up really quickly, go on up. So that way we're kind of getting up there around 9. Just doing it a little bit earlier has just felt better. And it feels right. We're just at this stage in our lives where this is just what we need to do to be able to function and get better sleep. So yeah, it's definitely been different. Okay, another one of you guys said, and I might have not seen the other part of this, or maybe this is all of it. It's hard to respond, like in a tiny thing. If you ever respond to my Instagram posts for like a future episode, feel free to do it in multiple responses. I usually can piece it together, just so you know, if you're wanting to write a longer. So books or people ready to cut people off if they don't do anything for you. I get generational trauma, but ... And I think, let me make sure, I think that was it. I do think there is space in our life for people that are there for no big, great reason. And sometimes that might be family members. Other times it could be, relationships out of convenience, whether it's because you work with them, maybe you're not super close with them. But there are just so many people in life that aren't going to do anything for you, that maybe aren't adding a ton to your life, but maybe they're just net neutral. You know what I mean? I do think we've gotten maybe overly sensitive about like if someone rubs you the wrong way once, like people just writing them off. If you feel like they're net negative even a little bit on your life, you're like, I just can't. And I do think there should be you should have boundaries. And I do think that's healthy, but I also think we need to have a little bit more compassion for other human beings. And I do think that has been lost in so many ways lately. Oh my gosh, where do I even begin? I really think compassion, like that should be all of our word of the year for the next decade. Compassion, understanding, patience, forgiveness. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like so much of that has been lost. And so we're kind of in a culture where people write people off so quickly. It's just kind of exhausting. You know what I mean? And like I said, there are people in your life that you write off for good reason. And that is not what I'm talking about. Okay. There are people in my life that are not in my life for a reason, and it'll stay that way. It doesn't mean I wish ill on them, but I don't need that force in my life at all. But yeah, I think we are quick to kind of do that kind of thing. And I personally want to be better about that, because that's not the kind of person I want to be. That's not the kind of energy I want to emanate out into the world. But I do think there's some power to knowing, maybe you're meeting someone for the first time and trying to decide if you'd want to be friends with them, and you meet a couple times and you realize like, this really isn't doing anything for me. I don't think that there's anything wrong with not pursuing that friendship. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like it's this big explosive thing, but just knowing like, I don't think we're a great fit as friends, and that's okay too. So I see both sides to that, but I think I get what you're saying. I must have a window open. I was just trying to realize, I'm like, why can't I hear these sirens like so clearly? The siren, I mean, that's like a regular siren, but we've had quite a few instances in the past month of like the tornado warning sirens going off and our sweet little girls freaking out and we're going down to the basement and all that. It always happens at night though. It's always late at night. Why is that? Like, why are these things not happening during the day? I mean, no, it does technically, but it's just interesting. It feels like it's always at night. So I think I'm gonna end it there. If you enjoyed this episode of Ask Jess, definitely check out episode 1. I will link it below. I think a lot of people missed it because I don't think I titled it great. I might adjust the title. I really don't think I did. So, but if you did miss it or you're not sure if you did, definitely check it out now. Thank you again to the sponsor of today's video, which is Shameless Snacks. Highly recommend their variety pack. It is on Amazon exclusively. I will have the link to shop Shameless Snacks down below in a pinned comment and in the description box if that's easier for you to find. But I hope you're enjoying this series. Let me know if you are by giving it a thumbs up, comment below. Any of your thoughts on any of these topics. Again, be respectful. I feel like a lot of you guys that watch my videos are just kind souls, and it shows through in my comment section all the time. So thank you guys for always keeping it civil. I love you all. I can't wait to see you in the next video, and I'll see you later. Bye.